If you're a makeup lover, you probably know that the Sephora sale has started for members who are Rouge and then will eventually start for VIBs and Beauty Insiders. I made a video talking about reasons not to shop the sale or how to shop the sale successfully if you are someone who's not trying to get caught up in it. Recommend that video before you come into this video because this video is going to be a different vibe. But what I wanted to do today is feature makeup that wasn't even sold at Sephora, kind of just to prove to you and prove to me that Sephora is not the be-all end-all retailer for makeup, either directly from brands or just there are other beauty retailers that sell a bunch of brands that you could shop at that might find better deals or just might have something that will interest you more than what we see at Sephora. Sephora is kind of like the basic of makeup retailers. I will say in recent years, they've done featuring a lot of brands that are much smaller, so that's pretty exciting, but there are also even smaller brands or brands that just choose not to sell at Sephora that we could feature. This is not meant to tell you that you need to buy any of the makeup that I'm featuring. It's just food for thought. Also to remember, like, maybe I don't need to buy something at Sephora because I'm interested in something not sold at Sephora that might go on sale during Black Friday. That might be a better way for you to spend your money as opposed to just blowing on the sale, because I think Sephora does sneak this sale in before Black Friday to make you feel as though you need to buy your makeup now when better sales are coming down the pipeline. The first thing I'm going to start with is the City Beauty City Lips Lip Plump. It's gross. It's gross. It's gross, but I love it. I cannot stop using it. I don't know a lot about City Beauty. I got some stuff from them when I went to Creator and Friends, and I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around their price point because it's like, I think this is $35 and it's like, who are you? I just bought a pretty expensive lip gloss yesterday, so who am I to talk? But I'm just saying, like, who's City Beauty? They have face masks. It's a 5-pack of face masks for 60 doll hairs. The thing is about this, I actually like the way it plumps my lips. I'm not opposed to the burn. I love a burny lip plumper. That's very much my jam. The thing about this lip plumper, it feels like it plumps the center of my lips more so than the outer part of my lips. Whereas I feel like a lot of other lip plumpers, and I don't know how it does that. I apply it the same way I apply any lip plumper. And it could just be in my mind, but it just feels like my lips look so good after using this in a way that other lip plumpers I've used to make them look as good. I don't really feel like I get that ring of redness around the outside of my lips. Whether or not it's $35 good would have to be up to you. I have been loving using it. But yeah, keep in mind, I got the NPR, I got it for free. I just keep using it. Right? And I don't know if I would buy another one. Let's move on to eyes. I don't have an eyeshadow primer that's not sold at Sephora, so I'm going to put that on real quick. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. I'm not even going to link it down below. It doesn't matter. Sometimes I remember that my ears are pierced and I throw a bitchy earring in. Did I have to really force this earring through? Yes, and if you're a piercer, keep it to yourself. I know what I did. Well, I haven't washed my brushes, everyone. I miss wearing earrings. Why don't I wear earrings more? Well, soon I'll have hair. I can throw that around. I'm gonna turn into 2016 era beauty YouTube guru and just be like, what's up, cunt? I mean, I guess I kind of talk like that anyway. Basically, this is a backdoor review for a palette, so welcome, you're here. I've done a lot of looks. You've seen me have this on my eyes many times in the past month. I like to spend my time with this palette. I've said this before, but like doing intensive looks that require not a lot of work, but just like, you know, I really want to go there and like really do like a glam look. It's hard to do on camera and make it entertaining because when I'm doing an eye look like that, I just kind of get in the zone and I kind of just zone out and I'm blending and having a great time. It's not as fun to do those kind of looks on camera. That is the bottom of it. It's just like, I do not have fun doing those kinds of looks on camera actively with you. I like wearing them on camera, like for Critical Sass or something like that, but I don't like doing them on camera. The bellabeautebar Poison Garden palette, I've done looks on Instagram with it. I've worn it here. I've been saying I really enjoy this palette, and people keep asking, have you ever used it on camera? And no. Why would I do that? We're talking about it. This is the bellabeautebar Poison Garden palette review. Now, I think this is a relaunch or a reiteration of a palette they had before, so it's not the same as the old Poison Garden palette. It's its own new thing. Here's what she looks like on the inside. Not my usual thing anymore. There was an era where this was like a lot of the looks I was wearing were like this as a smoky eye diva. So when you just, most of my looks are just a smoky eye. Guess what? Baby, you're gonna get a smoky eye out of this palette. It's kind of set up in quadrants. I don't know if Kristen of bellabeautebar like does this on purpose. We have 20 eyeshadows. That is a big palette and bigger than I usually like. However, I've kind of gotten into most corners of it. Kind of have this section up here, which is like mostly the shimmers. And then we have like a little bit of a mauve section here. And then down here we have some like greens. And then we have like this blue section over here. I wore blue relatively recently in a look. I was wearing my glasses. I was wearing pink glasses and I had this blue shimmer on my eyes that you guys were like, what is that? It's this. I'm not really sure what journey I'd like for us to go on. I will say I haven't spent a lot of time in these murky, gurky colors over here. The blues and the purples I've gotten into quite a bit. Oh no, that's not true. because I did an Instagram live where we used the murky gurky colors and it looked really beautiful. I think that was the look I did it was a get ready with me for Critical Sass, and so I wore it in the last Critical Sass. So I have worn that. So I've kind of got, yeah, I've done it. I've kind of done it all. I like all the looks that I've done from it. It's interesting because if I were to have looked at this palette, but before it was sent to me in PR, full disclosure, whenever I saw it, I was like, oh, that's so gorgeous, but like, it's not something I would ever use. However, it is, I would say there's so many eyeshadow palettes in my drawer right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 eyeshadow palettes in my testing drawer right now. Bar none, the one I'm pulling out the most, beside one that I ended up getting that I didn't pay money for it really, but I'm not featuring that brand on my channel anymore. There's also a palette that I actually had pulled that palette out quite a bit, unfortunately. This one even more than that one. It's the palette that I've been pulling out the most. And if you are new to my channel, if you just like are like kind of new here, right now, the realm I've been living in with eyeshadow has been not so much palettes, and I've been really enjoying like a cream shadow base and just throwing a beautiful shimmer on it, and like that's it. So for me to like get into this palette and be like, ooh, I'm excited about it, it does say a lot about this palette. Now I've only met one bellabeautebar palette that I like didn't fully love. I've enjoyed all of them, they just all haven't been my color story, but like I've been like getting my paws in here. And basically, if you've ever heard me talk about bellabeautebar, I think that they make some of the best indie matte eyeshadows. That remains. Let's use the blue because it is really pretty. And the last time I used the blue, you don't know about this, I tried using another third-party product on top of it and it did not want to work. But that was on me and I was trying something. So I'm gonna go into this gray shade here. It's called Devil's Helmet. I'm gonna use that as a bit of a transition. Guess what? We're gonna do Smoky Eye. What did you think? Whose channel are you on? Welcome to Smoky Glow. I'm Smoky Glow now. Although Hannah's been posting again, so that's been great. Love to see Smoky Glow. Love a content creator returning to the platform, especially one who seems to have had quite the journey off camera that we don't know all the details about. Yeah, I really need to wash my brushes. It feels crusty. That's never good. The eyeshadow brush feels crusty, and I didn't use it for cream products. It doesn't feel good. This isn't a matte gray. There is some like light blue shimmer sparkles in here. It mostly performs as a matte, and I did have some issues with the black that had red glitter in the Vamp palette. These ones blend better for me than that one does, but that might be like the fact that it's a black, but this black has blue sparkles in it, and I haven't had issues blending that. But I feel like on the eye, it reads as more of a matte. I think sometimes that's what happens with the sequin shadows from any brand, is just like, there is a sparkle there, but it's like also, and for what? I'm gonna go in with castor bean and put that in the crease. Castor bean, what's a castor bean? I'll have to look that up. Ah. I was telling my Patreon and channel members about this lamp I bought. Quality of life has improved since I got this lamp. Me, a grown-ass person, I'm like, I don't have to, I guess I don't have to sit in the dark all the time. But I feel like everyone but me knew that. I've gotten into like hamper culture recently. Do you guys know about hampers? As Pink once sang, who knew? Does that song ever make you cry? If someone said 3 years from now, you'd be long gone, I'd stand up and punch them out. Cause they're all wrong. Can you believe we live in the same era as Pink, who's doing backflips? Girls, get it together. I'm gonna stay relevant, but you're not gonna like how. That person on TikTok being like, I think they were Irish, like they were like, Pink, get done. What are you doing up there? Get done. Okay, now I'm gonna go into Deadly Nightshade. Any fruit fans here? I'm your deadly nightshade, I'm your cherry tree, you're my one true love, I'm your destiny. Come on, fill your cup. It's a little gag. It's a little thing that me and Tiff do. Is anyone here friends with me and Tiff? We went to see Marina a couple years ago, and she performed Fruit, an abridged version of Fruit, by the way. Who said that was allowed? Not me. We'd always scream, come on, fill your cup up at each other. Stream Fruit. I know that we're all supposed to be streaming Disease. God, what is it? Disease.
It's a crazy disease. PCOS, a crazy disease.
That's what the fact. This is what the homosexuals are streaming. Here's the thing. I'm like trying to will myself not to like it, except it's always stuck in my head. I could be your doctor. I can cure your disease. It doesn't feel like a good song. If you understand what I'm saying. It doesn't feel like it's a good song. It feels like me and Lady Gaga are both too old to be singing about stuff like that. If I want to feel like a young person, I'll just listen to Addison Rae, which you should. Stream Diet Pepsi. When we drive in your car, I'm your baby. Listen to me, the sense in the backseat. So sweet. Anyway, who else is in their mid-30s listening to Addison Rae? Did you guys know that Imogen Heap released a song this week? I didn't know that until I saw it on Instagram. Someone shared it. That Imogen Heap, where are we? What the hell is going on? Or you may you may remember her better for what you say from the Jason Derulo song. That was her song before it was Jason Derulo's song. You uncultured soul. I'm in such a goofy mood today. I was not really in the mood to film. I was like, but, you know, I'm gonna. And here I am, signed, sealed, delivered. Anyway, what was I even talking about? Disease.
It's a crazy disease.
Is it good? I don't know. On Twitter, there was like a Twitter hashtag. It's like, post a sexy picture of yourself and hashtag disease, stream disease or whatever. It's not that. It's like, only hot people listen to this. I don't know. I don't know what the hashtag is. But I saw it and I was like, this is what we're doing? There's something about stan culture where we like sometimes forget to question, is this good? We're gonna put on eyeliner, so we're gonna talk about a different brand before we go back for the shimmers. I just like to do my eyeliner before the shimmers because even though I'm doing my eyeshadow first, it's like, I'm not trying to promote Fallout. I want to promote, go vote, maybe. That's my promote. I promote that. But this is from Victoria Beckham, which is like one of my favorite brands. Blah, blah, blah. Victoria Beckham, so expensive. Blah, blah. It's not cheap being me, mama. I don't know who I am anymore. I'm so lost in thought in this video. Anyway, this is my favorite eyeliner. Let me get it together. This is my favorite eyeliner. I love it. It stays in my waterline really well. Some people, it doesn't stay in their waterline. I like how creamy and dreamy it is. I do not like when eyeliner is stuck on my eyes. So I'm just going to put this in my waterline and tightline with this today. This is just the black shade, basic, but also just like, look at what we're doing. I could also use the ash shade, which is really beautiful as well, but Halloween was like a couple days ago. So we're doing black eyeliner. And we're lined. But the thing about stan culture, very important, very important that we're talking about in this video where we're like, featuring makeup not sold at Sephora. And talking about disease, it's already stuck in my head. Anyway, feels like we're just treading water that we don't need to be treading. I don't know. Is Lady Gaga 40? As someone who's maybe 40 or approaching 40 or recently 40. I don't know. And not that we can't have fun. We have fun here. Not that we're having fun. It's not a very fun song. Either way. And as someone who's like, I guess I consider myself a stand of Marina, I think that there are some flaws in her work. Okay. But, you know, that's my girl. But I'm not going to sit here. If you say you don't like, well, if you don't like one of her bad songs, I'll be like, yeah, that is not a very good song. But if you don't like one of her good songs, I will have something to say about it. I just don't think this is a good, is this a good Lady Gaga song? Because it kind of sounds like everything else to me. If you take Lady Gaga's vocal track off of it, you could do sexy, confident. You could put Woman's World, you could take Katy Perry's vocals from Woman's World and put it over top of Disease and it would work, okay? So it just kind of like sounds similar. And like obviously those songs are a little bit disparate sounding, but think about it. Anyway, enough Lady Gaga discourse. My NYX primer like exploded on me, so I bought a new one. NYX is a pretty affordable brand. I don't know a lot about them, but Too Faced also sells a glitter primer, and it is seemingly the exact same thing. And it's like, why would you spend the money on the more expensive one? Now I feel like people are gonna be like, Tom, that's like literally all the makeup that you use is the expensive version of something that's very cheap. Glitter glue's not fun. I did buy something from the Ulta brand, which I'll feature in another video at another time. It's not going to be in this video because it is an eyeshadow product. It's very sparkly. There are other glitter glues. I know that like Lit Cosmetics makes one, but theirs is a liquid and that scares me. And also I use it for, you know, glittery eyeshadows. I feel like the one from Lit Cosmetics is designed to be for like loose glitter. Do you ever feel like a countdown starts the second you put a glitter primer on? Because I do. And guess what? Sometimes I'm not ready. We're going to take Wisteria, which is that beautiful blue, and we're going to put that on most of the lid, and then we're going to put another shade on closer to where I said one color and I picked up a different color. The time is running out. The clock is ticking. So I'm gonna put that all over the lid. I could use my finger. I don't want to. I could also use a silicone sponge. I just remembered that I had those. What's beautiful about this shade is, and I guess I'll try to demonstrate that on the other eye. You can get something really opaque like this. I mean, it's not the most opaque. It's still kind of translucent. If you apply a little bit less, it becomes like a sheer wash of the blue, and that was how I was wearing it in my last video. Let's do it up. So now I'm gonna take like a fluffier brush and pick up Wisteria. I'm just gonna sweep it on my other eye so I can demo it for you. So you could do something more like that and just kind of like a sheer wash of the blue. I love that this is kind of a dynamic shadow in that way. Gorgeous. All right, let me go make the other eye match. I'm gonna zoom you in because the light's reflecting back. There's a glitter called Houdini from Lemonhead LA. And like from certain angles, it looks invisible. I feel like when you're zoomed out like that, it's like you're not really getting how intense the blue can be. But like IRL, the blue is bluing. The light reflecting back from the lights, I feel like is not giving you the full blue. Now to just blend a little bit better from like the black blue out here, just to give it something more little seamless. I could use Snake Root, which is probably what I will use, but Poison Ivy also I think would work. We're gonna use Snake Root because I like Snake Root. To just give a little more gentle transition. You see what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean? Oh, I should have ate lunch before I sat down to film. Well, we're doing eyeshadow first. That is the part of the process that takes the longest. The material speaks for itself. To kind of wrap up my thoughts on this, I really love this palette and I've been like using it a lot. And not just because it was Halloween, like I just really enjoyed using it. I took a couple of the shades because these are removable pans with me when I went to Palm Springs. And I did use the sparkly shades. They're gorgeous. It's such a sleeper hit. It's dark and mysterious. I think it came out at the perfect time of year. Like it came out more during Halloween. But if you're into this kind of thing, I think this is going to be like really, really great for you. Like it's just like everything about it's very impeccable. And like I've fallen in love with it and I'm like probably going to keep it actually. I think it might make it out of the testing drawer and into the permanent drawer. I kind of in my head was like, well, you know, I'm only going to really ever keep one bellabeautebar, but that's a lie. I lied. I talked a lot in Critical Sass recently about how indie brands are killing color stories. You would never see a brand at Sephora make a color story that's this beautiful. You wouldn't find these textures in a Sephora palette either. These are just soft pressed shadows, which I think are harder to mass manufacture in such a way and like successfully get them shipped to places without them breaking in mass. But like I've never had any of my shadows come broken from bellabeautebar. Again, I am getting PR from them, so keep that in mind. But on really soft shadows, they will put a styrofoam, like a little piece of styrofoam that's perfectly shaped to the pan. So I haven't had any issues with mine breaking. So anyway, if you're looking for interesting color stories, look to brands like bellabeautebar, Clionadh. And if you could think of any other indie brands that are really killing it with color stories, let us know in the comments down below, especially if they're not sold at Sephora. Let's do an inner corner shade. And this is from Clionadh. Speaking of Clionadh, these are quads that they're going to have in their 12 Days of Beauty, which I think is their advent calendar. And there are going to be 2 of them. They are in the quads that they'll be in, but I don't know that they're in the right order. And they're not going to come in this packaging. They will have their own unique packaging whenever that time arrives. So I'm going to use this shade right here. It's a bit of a confetti shade. I'll throw up swatch footage of that shade in particular. Clionadh's way too cool to call a shade birthday cake, but I think that's what the shade should be called. There's like blue and pink sparkles. No, more like a funfetti, but they probably couldn't call it funfetti. But it has a lot of really beautiful, different glimmers in there, and it's really pretty. I wore this on my lid when I did a pink look recently, which was a combination of Poison Garden and this shadow on the lid. Look at this eye look. Oh, we're looking bitchy. I have a little bit of fallout. I'm going to clean that up and then we will get started with complexion. The sad thing about the curls is that they only last the first day. I had to re-wet my hair to get it curly again. And I'm just not at the point in my life and my curly hair career to be doing that. Although with the extensions, I'm not really sure. I guess I'm going to have to be like straight haired for that. I'm going to keep growing my hair out when I have the extensions. Anyway, I do have to make a caveat to this product. That Clionadh shade is very soft. If you're faint of heart with the glitter, that might be something to skip. But if you're faint of heart with the glitter, Clionadh might just be a brand to skip altogether for you. This one's a bit of a caveat because I have to explicitly say that this is not sold in American Sephoras. I'm fairly certain that MAC is sold in Sephora Canada. And I don't know about like in Europe or in Australia or anything like that. I just know that here, we can only buy MAC at department stores and at Ulta. For my primer today, for the rest of my face, I'm going to be using the MAC Strobe Cream in the shade Pinklite. Now, I've had this in my permanent collection for a while, and I use it a lot off camera, but I haven't used it on camera in a while. So you're probably like, what? But I was trying so hard to finish up that Victoria Beckham primer, and you better believe if that Victoria Beckham primer was still here, we'd be using that instead because I was just trying to use that and I did finally empty it. So I'm excited to start using my other primers. But what's really nice as someone who has cool leaning undertones is that this gives like a slight, and I mean slight, pinkish sheen. I haven't tried the new version of like the Creature of Light things from Rituel to Vieve. I think those will probably have even more of a glow, but just like Look at that. If you're not into like a glowy primer, then obviously this wouldn't be for you. And then to prime my nose, the Sisley Blur Expert. Because yes, there's a luxury makeup that's not sold at Sephora. I mean, it's not really that weird, but it is kind of weird that like, there's like luxury brands that choose not to sell at Sephora, and luxury brands are choosing to like also sell at Ulta. I want to be in the meetings where like those decisions are being made. I think it's a net positive whenever brands are more accessible to people who are like in Ultas too, and like people who use the Ulta point system. I think it's really cool that you're getting to do that with like Natasha Denona, Pat McGrath, and Charlotte Tilbury. And I think Ilia, did Ilia just jump to Ulta as well? But it's also just like, I'm wondering, because I feel like, who was the first brand to really do that? Who was the first? Was it Pat McGrath? And then I feel like Natasha Denona and Charlotte Tilbury followed not long after. And I'm wondering like what the tea is there. For my foundation today, my favorite foundation of all time, this is a Suratt Dewdrop foundation. I depotted it into this container. This is in the shade 1.5. I haven't featured this on camera in a while because sometimes you feel like a broken record when you're like talking about something over and over and over again. But I think that's also worth hearing. Like my favorite foundation, it's my favorite foundation. I use it all the time. But I also have been testing complexion recently. And sometimes I'll think I like something and I'm like, tomorrow when I do my makeup, let me use this Suratt Dewdrop foundation. And it always looks the best. It is my favorite foundation. That light, soft blur. And there are certainly good foundations at Sephora. I own a couple of them. There's just something about this foundation that really beeps two toots, you know? Like it really just dings my dong. It does everything I like need it to. Like that light coverage, that soft filtered effect is just everything. I'm avoiding the under eye. I've been trying to avoid under eye with foundation to keep as little product as possible from the under eye, because I am going to use under eye concealer. I have been trying to remember to do that first, but for so long I've applied foundation then concealer, and you can do it however you want. That's the order of operations I've been doing. I think another thing about this foundation is I use a lot of powder. And not so much like I don't like layer powder and then layer powder and then layer powder. Like I use the Sisley powder on my nose, and then I use a different powder on my under eye, and then I use a different powder on the rest of my face, and then I use a finishing powder, which is like certainly a lot of powders. But I think that this foundation also takes to powder really well. It's called the Dewdrop foundation. I don't think it's too dewy. I think because I have oily skin, I just think it works so well. If you're just looking for something like perfectly like down the middle, I think like it does lean a little more dewy, but I ultimately think it looks like skin. It's the only foundation I wear. I feel like people, whenever they like compliment my skin, they're complimenting my skin. They think they're complimenting how good my skin is when I wear this foundation in real life. That's like, I think the most you could ask for out of a foundation. I'm gonna add up a little bit of coverage. I did a pump, and normally I need a little more than a pump. I'll put some on my ears. We're not doing drag, so Trixie, calm down. And it will look better when I have the under eyes also covered to make a more seamless transition. I have bought the Suratt foundation a couple of times, and then they also have sent it to me in PR, but I was buying it before they ever sent me PR. I think I started getting PR from Suratt because I was always talking about the Dewdrop foundation. I'm sorry to do this to you, but I actually think minus Sigma, this might be the only other concealer I have that is not available at Sephora. This is the Victoria Beckham concealer. I have the shade FL1. The Suratt Dewdrop foundation is expensive. This is also expensive, but this is only a couple dollars cheaper than the Dewdrop foundation. That's crazy. It has been a concealer that has worked out really well for me. Unfortunately, I don't love that. I love, what was this, a $70 concealer? I don't even remember how much I paid for it. I've like blacked it out. I'm like, that's too much money. I can't acknowledge how much it is. It works really well on my under eye. It doesn't really crease on me. I don't think any concealer is like 100% creaseless. I love the finish of it. I try not to use it all over my face as a foundation, but I do it sometimes, and it looks so good all over the face. It just is such a good concealer, unfortunately. But just because it's a good concealer for me does not mean you need to run out to buy it. Just because it might be my favorite concealer, which I think it is in contention for my favorite concealer, that doesn't mean it will be your favorite concealer. And if you have really good concealers already, you don't need to like run out and buy this one just because I love it. You know, how it's shaken out so far is that it's the concealer I reach for the most, and it's not even because it's the newest one. In fact, most of the time up until I got this concealer, I would reach for my regular concealer that I wasn't testing. Whenever you're a makeup reviewer, or like that's an aspect of what you do, you often are just using makeup that you're not familiar with or you're forming thoughts on. But when I test concealer, usually I almost immediately default back to the Suratt Dewdrop Concealer, which was like my favorite for a whole year. And like I had tested some other concealers and I would just always go back to that because it was always the one that worked the best for me. But this is even, in my opinion, outperforms the Dewdrop Concealer and what I'm looking for. And that's why I've just been choosing to wear it the most. It looks so good under the eye. Before we move on, I am going to powder my under eyes. I'm just trying to make a habit of powdering my under eyes right after applying concealer so I don't have to like blend it out again before I apply powder. I have a couple powders that I'm going to talk about, but we're going to start with this one. This is one from Sigma. This is their Soft Focus Setting Powder. This is the shade Vanilla Bean. This is the lightest shade, but I think it has 2 or 3 other shades. So I'm just going to take a bit of that and pat it into the under eyes real quick. I'll talk more about this powder whenever we do powder the rest of the face. Now that we've got that handled, let's move along to some other things. Something I'm very into doing right now is to kind of like prime my cheek. I have 2 products that I would do with that. Auric just released new products. I've been using my Auric Glowlust a lot recently because they've like been teasing a product and I was like, oh my God, Auric. But I also have this from Phytosurgence. And these are 2 different styles of indie brand, but like both indie brands. Auric is owned by Samantha Ravndal and Phytosurgence is owned by Jason. I say the Ravndal's a public figure and Jason's not really like a public figure. Like I feel like if you're into Phytosurgence, you know Jason. But like it's unfortunately the same weight cannot be said for both people who own these brands. Sounds like such a read. Jason, don't yell at me. I'm talking about your product. Don't yell at me. This is the Auric Glowlust. I have the shade of Morganite. I think I am going to use this and I'm going to use it as my highlighter, but most of the time I've been using this. This is from Phytosurgence. It's the Spectral Shine in Divine Daylight. And I take a very dense brush and I just put it all over my cheek. It soft blurs, it soft focuses. It adds like a little bit of glow, but not a lot of glow. It's not like a highlighter where I feel like the Auric can kind of show up as a highlighter sometimes. I wouldn't call this a highlighter, which when the first time I bought this, I panned this because I was like, that's not a highlighter. But it turns out a lot of people don't even use it for highlighter. Some people do. It's very soft. It's very soft. If you want to add a highlighter and you're looking for something very soft, I think it could work for that. But in my opinion, it does most of its magic underneath product. And that's why I like to use it as a primer. Auric is a little more versatile. I feel like you can use it underneath, on top, however you want to. But today I'm going to use just kind of to prime my cheek and give a soft glow. And that will also mean that I probably won't need another highlighter. We might. I haven't decided if we're going to do that or not. This product is so like luxe in the hand and really lovely. I know it's really expensive to do custom packaging and things like that. And I really appreciate that Samantha does that. I really love luxurious, heavy packaging. And I feel like that's what Samantha provides to us. The lip balms come in glass jars if you get the ones in the jars. This comes in glass packaging. Not that drugstore products don't come in glass because they absolutely do. But it's frosted. It feels super luxurious. Like I just love the feeling of holding this. Just like the cap. Like, you know, just like a lot of detail went into like the feeling of like luxury of this, which is like I think makes me use a product more. I mean, good product is good product. And well, you know, this packaging for Phytosurgence is like razzle dazzle. It gets the job done and the product inside is the most important part. And that's going to depend on who you are, right? Because I talk a lot about packaging being part of the experience for me. And a lot of times something in beautiful packaging will make me want to choose it over something else. But that's not going to be the case for everyone. So I was just pointing that out. That's like a thing I really love about what Auric does. I'm just going to press it all over the cheek, just to get a soft glow. The Auric Glowlust is my favorite version of this thing. Everyone else has a different version. Some people like the Charlotte Tilbury, the Flawless filter. I think that product actually heavily inspired this, but I like that it's in a pump. It like wasn't the exact same mechanism, but e.l.f. has the Halo Glow, which is like very similar to this. Like this is my favorite version of it, but like there's a lot of alternatives for it too. So I love that as well. This is in Victoria Beckham packaging, but it's not a Victoria Beckham product. It's from Rituel to Fille. This is their Rare Light Luminizer in the shade Intuition. And I use this as a contour. I don't think that they bill it as a contour, but I really like it as a contour. As someone who has fair skin and cool undertones, a lot of what is prescribed as cool toned in a Sephora is always too warm for me. For contour, I cannot do Sephora brands. I don't know what it is about that price point, like that higher price point. They like don't, and they were like, they will not commit to a cool tone. They simply won't. Indie brands will. Again, this isn't sold as a contour. Indie brands will do really cool tones. I did a cream contour video. That's how I landed on this being the cream contour that I end up using the most. Like obviously I repotted it because I broke the packaging of the thing it actually comes in, but I've used most of it up and I might need a new one. I don't know how soon, but I'm working on it. Like I'm very close. Elf had some really good cool toned options, but if you're looking for something that's about equally as gray as this, there's a bronzer from Essence, like a cream stick bronzer. It smells deadly like water. It so smells like watermelon candy. It's unreal how stinky it is. If like fragrance doesn't bother you in a product, then you will probably love that if you're looking for that. And that's like $4. The Intuition product, I think it's like closer to $40 or maybe, or, I don't know. It's like $30 or $40, somewhere in that price range. Essence also not sold at Sephora. Rituel used to be sold at Ulta, but they pulled out of Ulta, it seems. It's hard to keep up with the demand of being in a store like that if you're an indie brand. I honestly think what Rituel does just suits being sold on its own website or smaller makeup retailers like Credo. Like, I just think it makes more sense in that thing because, like, I just think it's so, well, what Rituel makes is so special. I don't like Brontour very often. If I'm doing like a very warm look, I will do Brontour, but it's not my favorite. And I have like a Brontour contour stick from Victoria Beckham that I use for that, but I very rarely use that. Most of the time I'm using Intuition from Rituel. For bronzer, Sephora doesn't carry Chanel makeup. I don't know if they did at one point. They used to carry Suratt as well. Brands come and go at Sephora all the time. So I don't know what happened with Chanel, but Chanel I think was the first luxury brand to go to Ulta, and it was like very confusing. I love this bronzer. I mean, I don't really have much to say about it. I've been talking about this bronzer a lot this summer into fall because I was really trying to use as much of it as I could this summer because I think it is more of a summer bronzer for me. It blends beautifully, has a beautiful glow to it. For blush, I pulled out 2 products and we'll use the Phytosurgence one this time. This from Kjaer Weis. This is a super luxurious product. It's the blush in Inner Glow from Kjaer Weis. It's a beautiful glowy blush. It has a warm base but a cool sheen to it. It's a very interesting product. I've seen eyeshadows like this. I think a lot of the eyeshadows I wear tend to be like warm base, cool sheen. So this is basically the cheek version of it. I really enjoy it. Here's another thing that you really can't find at brands at Sephora. A blush for people who have very fair skin tones and actually doesn't pull warm on the cheeks. So this is the shade Condensate. And what you'll notice as I apply this, if you've never seen this product before, is that it looks like it's gonna be like this purple taupe. It's not that. It's not that at all, actually. It's so incredible what they've managed to do. I'm just going to take a brush. I always over apply this, so I'm just going to blend some off the back of my hand and then tap it into the cheek. And it's going to actually look more like a pink and kind of verging a little bit bruisey. I like a bruisey blush. I know that's going to be a turn off to some of you, but also if you don't have like fair skin with cool undertones, this probably just wouldn't be a blush that would be attractive to you at all, but it's so gorgeous. Look at that. I mean, I used to work at Sephora, so I know there just aren't blushes that do what this blush is doing. The closest thing is weirdly a Charlotte Tilbury blush, which that should not be the thing that's closest is Charlotte Tilbury. The Liquid Pillow Talk blush, it's much more pigmented than this and much more present on the face than this blush is, but it has a little bit of a bruisey quality to it too. In the shade Pillow Talk of the matte blush ones. But that blush is so good. Looks so good with this look. It's just this cool toned grayish pink. Remember, I was looking for a grayish pink blush for a long time. And then everyone was like, condensate. And it was like the last blush I bought. I would still love a grayer pinky blush, but like this is it's very good. It's very, very good. I think I'm also going to apply another highlighter because it's just kind of my favorite highlighter right now and I just love wearing it. So we're going to work that in, but we'll powder before it because that is a powder highlighter. Back to the Sigma powder. We're going to use that all over the face now. I did say I normally use like 4 powders. 2 of the powders I usually use are also sold at Sephora and I don't need them. That's just what I typically use. It's such a blurring powder. Oftentimes cheaper powders don't give you a very good blur. And not that this is like cheap. I use a lot of luxury formulas and I'm just like the luxury people know where it's at with blur, but Sigma really figured it out with this. It does mattify a little bit and I do feel like it has a little bit of coverage. So if that's an automatic no for you, then maybe not this. But I'm just going to avoid the areas that I don't want mattified at all. So I want to keep my cheek very glowy. In an old video of mine, they were like, your aesthetic is like glowy, soft grunge. And I'm like, kind of is what I do. And you only really need like the slightest bit of this powder. When you use a lot of your favorite complexion products, especially like your favorite foundation with your favorite concealer, that's the true moment. Something that reviewing makeup takes away from you if you're reviewing a lot of product is like, sometimes you just don't get to use your favorites for a while and then you get to go back to them and you're like, that's why they're my favorites because they're so good. Damn, you have to do all that. And this is from Chantecaille, the Chantecaille Perfect Blur powder. It's a finishing powder, so I'm going to take a dense brush and just kind of buff it into my skin, mostly focusing on the forehead, the front of the cheek, and then down the nose a little bit. I also sometimes throw this on my under eye, but I've found that I don't want to powder too much on my under eyes anymore. And it does a little mattifying too, but whatever. So this has really proved its worth in my collection. It's a very expensive powder, but because I'm only using it as a finishing powder, I've had this was a limited edition packaging. It's been since 2021. One of you did call me out for buying a backup of this in a video where I talked about not buying backups. That was a lesson learned. I don't do it anymore. I did it. I don't do it anymore. That was before my no buy. It's different now. We're in a post no buy world, okay? Don't be mean to me. Don't be mean to me. I'm just a little girl. I haven't used Fix Plus in a long time. Fix Plus, she's still that girl. Fix Plus still really does it for me. Before we do mascara and the rest of the look. Oh, I didn't put on the highlighter yet. We could do that now. That's fine. It doesn't matter. We can do highlighter whenever we want to, baby. If you watched my Sephora sale video, I talked about the Gucci highlighters and why you don't need them. And I was like, if you want to buy a highlighter that I really like, my favorite run right now isn't even at Sephora. And I really like the Gucci ones, but the Hindash highlighter, this is the shade Liluna. It's like the best highlighter. Things I find intriguing. Whenever I'm like talking about makeup, it's like, this is like the best highlighter for me right now. Like, I just haven't been into highlighter. This is a highlighter that I have just found complete joy in using, like want to put highlighter on, because there was a brief period of time where I just like wasn't using highlight in my like day-to-day makeup. And like this brought it back to the fold. Look at how messy she is. Can I get in there? Just do a quick sweep. I didn't need it, but I wanted to do it. I'm gonna throw this mascara on. I'm not gonna like spend a lot of time on this mascara. It's the Beyond mascara from City Beauty, which I like this product, but it's like not my favorite. It's just the mascara I have opened. I'm not gonna sit here and talk about it. I did have to retire the Clean Lash from Merit. The formula hit 3 months and then it started like flaking off my eyes. It didn't do that before then. It just started doing that. But anyway, I mean, here I am going to talk about the CBU mascara. I haven't had any issues with this, and I do feel like it really brings the drama. It's a pretty good mascara. I haven't had any issues with it. It's just like, I think City Beauty's a hard sell, and not like, I never would have tried them if it wasn't sent to me in PR. I don't know how many people have actually like purchased City Beauty. It's like very similar to me in experience to Nomad. I feel like everyone I know who has Nomad palettes are people who got them in PR. Like, who buys City Beauty? Do you buy City Beauty? And I'm not saying you're wrong if you do. Me recommending a mascara where you'd have to buy, I don't think City Beauty's carried in any retailers like Beautylish or anything, so you'd have to buy it directly from them. I think they might sell on Amazon. Are you gonna go out of your way to buy a mascara or even like a lip plumper? Those are the two things I like from the brand, but a lot of people, for the most part, unless you're buying something really special, want to buy that kind of thing from a place that's really easy for them to get that and the other things that they need to replenish. Because like mascara you're replenishing, so like if you're buying your moisturizer, you'll be like, oh yeah, I need mascara too, and then you hit like some free shipping threshold. But like for you to go out of your way to just buy the mascara is weird. I'm just gonna step off my pedestal that I just was on. So for lip, we could go a couple of different ways. I think I'm gonna start at least with the Half Magic lip liner. This is the double-sided lip liner, and it's the shades Badassery Parade, which is black, and You're My Taupe. The taupe side is a dead ringer for Endless Cacao from Makeup Forever, which I also really love. But I ended up keeping this because I didn't have a black lip liner, and now I have a black lip liner. But I don't use it that often, but it's nice to have. And I love a creamy lip liner formula. Although I do prefer a pencil lip liner. That's just me. This one's really good. I have to admit to you, I'm not worried about my lip liner fading. So if that's something you're really concerned about, I always feel like this one holds up really well, but like there's very few makeup items. I had a whole video recorded. I panned it. I didn't end up posting it, but I did a whole video about like, I don't need my makeup to last forever. And then I was like, I don't know how this will go over. So I just like didn't do it. I want my foundation to look good all day, but if my blush fades halfway through the day, I guess I don't really care. And if my bronzer fades halfway through the day, I guess I don't really care. That's like not something I'm paying attention to. I mostly am worried about how my skin looks versus like how long something lasts on my face. And like, I like to eat and I like to drink. So if my lip liner fades, it like doesn't really matter to me. And we're gonna do a bit of a concealer lip. This is from Vieve. It's their satin slip lipstick in the shade Nightie. I'm just gonna put that on the center of the lips and just blend it out a little bit. I'm gonna put lip gloss on top of this. I wasn't going to, but now I decided that I want to. I've been really into doing lip liner, lipstick, and lip gloss. A beautiful nude lip for my skin tone. Beautiful little bit of concealer lip. I said I was gonna add a gloss. The gloss I wanted to add is something you can buy at Sephora. So maybe I'll just forgo that. I know what lip gloss I would top it with, but we're not even gonna talk about it because it's a brand that's available at Sephora. So this, my friends, is a look, a fierce, full look of makeup that you cannot buy at Sephora, just proving that you can do a full face of makeup, a gorgeous face of makeup without buying from Sephora, which I hope will give you a little bit of pause about maybe you don't need to buy everything from Sephora. And maybe if your favorite complexion product or a complexion product you were wanting to try isn't available at Sephora, you're not going to buy something that you didn't want as much at the Sephora sale just because it's the Sephora sale. That's kind of like what I wanted to do here today. And it's also always good to look at your makeup collection before you start buying new makeup, just to check in with yourself to make sure you don't already have that thing available in your collection to you, even if it's not the exact thing, it's like something very close to it. So that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. If you haven't caught the vibe, my channel is mostly about loving my makeup collection as it currently is, while helping you and myself be more discerning about the new makeup releases that are coming out and what we decide to buy and bring into our makeup collection. So if that's something you're interested in seeing more of, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video, share this video with anyone you might think will find this interesting. And I'm on Patreon and I have channel memberships. You can check those out linked down below. Basically, you give me an amount of money and I give you an additional video every month. It doesn't matter what tier you join at. Everyone gets that one video. It's kind of like pay what you want if you want. But if you don't want to or can't, there's no worries there. I'm just so happy that you are here. Quickly, I want to thank all my current members and patrons. You're the absolute best. I really appreciate you. If you've ever been a patron or member and you had to step away for whatever reason, or just because you wanted to step away and didn't want to do it anymore, thank you as well. I will have a pinned comment. There's a link to help families in Gaza, and I also have links to help families who were recently affected by the hurricanes that came through the United States. If you were going to give me money, I would actually hope that you would give those people money before you decide to join my Patreon or channel memberships. That's going to be a better use of your money than giving it directly to me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I had a great time. I'm hungry. I had a great time. Remember to follow your hope and you'll find me. And I'll see you in a video very soon. Go forth. Tits out.